We begin with a high school student named Andrew, who didn't have many friends except for his cousin Matt, who was considered his closest friend. We go to Andrew's house and learn that his mother is very ill, while his father has addiction problems, which keeps him in constant anger, frequently beating Andrew for no reason. Andrew decides to buy a camera to record everything happening to him and to protect himself in case needed. Matt passes by Andrew's house, and they go to school together, with Andrew carrying the camera and recording everything. This behavior makes some students at school bully him. Later, Matt suggests they attend a party that night to relax. At first, Andrew refuses, but after Matt insists, he agrees. Andrew goes back home, gets dressed, but his father Richard, drunk as usual, hits him. Andrew grabs the camera and rushes to the party, where he starts filming people. There he meets a girl named Casey, who also has a camera, and they get to know each other. However, Andrew's filming annoys someone at the party, leading to a confrontation where Andrew gets beaten and thrown out. While sitting outside cleaning his camera, Steve, the most popular student at school, approaches him, apologizes, and asks Andrew to join him and Matt to film a strange underground location they discovered. Andrew agrees and goes with them. They arrive at the place, hearing strange sounds coming from it. They decide to go down to investigate and find a strange blue light emanating from a large object, causing the ground to shake and everything to go dark. The events shift to the three of them playing baseball, and we discover they've gained superpowers. Andrew uses his mind to move the ball, but it causes him to bleed from his nose. They go to Steve's house where they practice their powers, moving Lego pieces in the air. They decide to revisit the strange place to learn more, but they find the hole in the ground destroyed, with police at the scene, forcing them to leave. Andrew goes home and practices with his camera, making it float in the air. At night, he overhears his father on the phone, trying to secure better insurance for Andrew's mother, as they lack enough money for her treatment. The next day, Andrew takes his mother out for a nice time to improve her mood, and they have a lovely day together. Later, Andrew meets up with Steve and Matt, and they practice their powers by throwing objects into a lake. At school, Matt tells them their powers work like muscles. The more they use them, the stronger they get, but overuse causes nosebleeds. He shares that he lifted a car the previous night without bleeding. They agree to practice their powers discreetly in public. At a supermarket, they play harmless pranks on people, like moving a small shopping cart to scare a child. They escalate their pranks with Steve moving a parked car to confuse its owner. Andrew, impressed by their strength, accidentally loses control while moving a car, causing it to crash. Terrified, they rescue the driver and call an ambulance. Realizing their powers are getting out of control, they set rules for using them. The next day, they meet in an abandoned area to train. Steve discovers he can fly and encourages the others to try. Matt struggles but eventually succeeds, while Andrew manages to fly on his first attempt. They spend time flying together, playing with a ball in the air until Matt gets hit by a passing plane and loses control, but Andrew saves him just in time. They laugh and celebrate their newfound abilities, with Matt declaring it the happiest day of his life despite the scare. The following day at school, they plan to take a break to visit places they've always wanted to see. Andrew expresses his desire to visit Tibetan monasteries, while Matt meets Casey after school, donates to her charity, and gets to know her better. Meanwhile, Steve and Andrew bond, with Andrew sharing how happy he is to finally have friends, as he used to feel lonely even with Matt. Steve invites Andrew to join the school talent show and use their powers to impress the audience and succeed. And Andrew actually stops and goes to put on the suit and participates in the show. There, both of them use their powers to present a magical performance, which is very simple compared to their new powers, but is enough to amaze the entire school with Andrew's strength and make them like him. After that, he goes to celebrate everything that happened with his new friends at school, and everyone welcomes Andrew. There, he meets a girl and gets to know her from a distance, and Steve grabs his camera and says he will go film him and play a prank on him. When he goes, he finds the girl glowing and illuminated. Steve laughs, and when he goes inside, he finds Andrew very upset. The next day, they talk about Richard, mentioning that he'd buy a very expensive camera, even though they need all the money to treat his mother. When Andrew responds and yells at him, his father gets even angrier and, as usual, hits him. But unlike every other time, Andrew now has immense power. He actually uses it against his father, pinning him to the wall and telling him, "If I wanted to kill you right now, I would." But he takes back his words at the last moment, lets him go, and leaves. Meanwhile, Matt is with Casey at the same time, and his nose starts bleeding. He becomes very confused because he didn't even use his powers and feels like something is wrong. The events then shift to Andrew, who is deeply affected by the incident with his father and is crying while floating in the air out of frustration. A storm forms around him due to the instability of his powers. Steve goes to him and tells him his nose is bleeding too, and that he feels a voice calling him by Andrew's name. At that moment, Steve realizes something is wrong and that their powers are somehow connected. However, Andrew asks Steve to leave him alone. Steve refuses, which makes Andrew very upset. Due to the instability of his powers, a massive electrical surge occurs, accidentally hitting and killing Steve. The events then shift to Steve's funeral, attended by all the students from the school because they loved him very much. There, Matt keeps looking at Andrew, feeling that he is responsible for Steve's death. After the funeral, Matt talks to Andrew, asking him to tell the truth about how Steve died, especially since the weather was perfectly fine at the time. But Andrew avoids answering and flies away. The next day, Andrew returns to Steve's grave, apologizing to him and saying he never meant to kill him. Afterward, Andrew goes back to school, where all the students mock him because of what happened at the party. He uses his powers to pull out the teeth of one of the students mocking him. He then takes the camera to the bathroom and explains how he took them out and that he could easily kill anyone. Andrew then goes to a place far from the school to continue recording. There we learn that Andrew has completely changed. He says he no longer feels any guilt when he hurts people because he simply sees them as weaker than him and considers them prey. Andrew returns home, where Matt confronts him, upset about what happened at school. Matt tells him they now need to follow the rules they set for using their powers, meaning they shouldn't hurt anyone else. He also warns Andrew that he will have to intervene if he does. They both end up fighting, but Andrew stops Matt's hand using his powers. Their argument ends with Matt leaving and flying away. Later, Andrew goes to the pharmacy to buy his mother's medicine, only to find he doesn't have enough money. He returns home and decides to use his powers to steal money. He disguises himself in his father's old firefighter uniform and encounters the same people who used to bully him at school. He immediately attacks them and takes their money. Andrew then goes to a gas station and attacks the attendant to steal the money there. As he walks away, the attendant pulls out a gun and tries to shoot him, but Andrew uses his powers to snatch the gun, causing it to fire and hit the gas tank, resulting in a massive explosion. Andrew is severely injured and taken to the hospital. His father comes to the hospital, crying beside him and telling him that his mother died that same day. He blames Andrew for her death, saying he had to leave her to come to the hospital and that if he had stayed with her, he might have saved her. His father tries to hit him, but Andrew wakes up at the last moment, grabs him, and destroys the entire place. He loses control and kills his father. Meanwhile, Matt is at a birthday party when his nose starts bleeding again. He realizes that Andrew has likely lost control of his powers and rushes to the hospital. There, he finds Andrew floating in the air and destroying everything around. Matt tries to talk to him, but Andrew refuses and throws a bus at him. The two start fighting, throwing cars and buses at each other, and both fall to the ground. The police surround them and shoot at Andrew, injuring him and knocking him to the ground. This enrages Andrew, but he easily stops them all and prepares to kill the police. At that moment, Matt realizes the only way to stop Andrew is to kill him. While Andrew is distracted by the police, Matt uses his powers to move a large spear from a statue in the street and unfortunately kills Andrew with it. Matt flees from the police and disappears. Days pass and he reappears, filming himself in front of the temple Andrew always wanted to visit. And that marks the end of the story. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did, make sure to subscribe for more awesome content. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.